Welcome to the World News. I'm Randolf Jamias on Myanmar International. On top story, the annual World Economic Forum that opened in Davos, Switzerland on Wednesday will focus on topics ranging from environmental protection to corruption to the sluggish world economy. Over 1,000 international organizations and 2,500 participants from more than 100 countries and regions are attending this year's forum. This year's meeting is all about adapting to a global economy that is changing by leaps and bounds, a fact that is reflected in the forum's slogan, Resilient Dynamism.
'13 is a pivotal year. We have the economic crisis still in Europe. We have certainly in our neck of the woods in the Middle East great uncertainty. The U.S., I think, is struggling a bit as well, and China also obviously has undergone some changes. So I think 2013 poses a number of challenges for all of us.
How many jobs have been lost and how many of the jobs that are coming back just aren't as good as the jobs that were lost in a large part of the developed world. So that's a big issue, and I think you can hear that issue here at Davos, all the talk about resilience. Well, resilience means getting back on your feet and getting going again, and I think that's a big preoccupation here.
Meanwhile, Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, vowed to unswervingly fight against corruption and keep power reined within the cage of regulations. Xi ordered to enhance restraint and supervision on the use of power, saying power should be restricted by the cage of regulations. A discipline, prevention, and guarantee mechanism should be set up to ensure that people do not dare to, are not able to, and cannot easily commit corruption, he said. He urged the efforts must be made to strengthen national anti-corruption legislation and relevant inner party regulations to ensure national organs to exercise their power within the boundary of laws. In other stories, Colombian police seized 3.8 tons of cocaine in the Caribbean port of Cartagena on Tuesday. Authorities believe the massive drug shipment belonged to the Urabenos, a Colombian criminal organization that derives the majority of its income from drug trafficking. Officials said the drugs were en route to the Mexican port of Veracruz and were destined for the notorious Mexican drug cartel, Los Zetas. According to official statistics, Colombian police confiscated more than 165 tons of cocaine in 2012. Moving on, several villages in central Croatia were flooded on Tuesday as several days of warm weather caused snow on the slopes of the Velebit mountain to melt and pour into local rivers. Heavy raining over the past 24 hours also contributed to flooding, with local roads left submerged in water, disrupting traffic and leaving villages without supplies. One of the most affected areas was around the village of Kosinji in the mountainous region of Lika, which was cut off from the rest of the world on Tuesday. Now in Japan, miniature cameras attached to a penguin's head have given Japanese scientists a bird's eye view of the creature's incredible underwater hunting skills. Using video cameras weighing just 33 grams, and equipped with accelerators, depth gauges, and thermometers, researchers were able to see exactly what the Adelie penguin sees when it goes out to catch krill and other prey in its native Antarctica. Yuki Watanabe of the National Institute of Polar Research in Tokyo said the team was amazed to discover that the bird adapts its hunting behavior depending on what it is trying to snare. Watanabe said the device allowed researchers to precisely measure the bird's head movements and showed how one penguin could catch 2 krill in under 1 second. Watanabe said the tiny cameras and micro-equipment had given researchers a much better understanding of how the penguin lives. And in sports, Andre Greipel took honors in the opening stage of the Tour Down Under on Tuesday in Adelaide. This year's top cycling race in Australia was paying tribute to the 100th anniversary of the Tour de France. Greipel picked up a 10-second winning bonus and will go into Wednesday's stage wearing the ochre jersey with a 4-second lead over De Mare and 6 seconds ahead of Renshaw. On Wednesday, the 132 riders will contest the second stage over a 116.5-kilometer course from Mount Barker in the Adelaide Hills to the finish line in the suburb of Rostrevor. The race ends on Sunday. One of the biggest surprises at the Australian Open, American teenager Sloane Stephens caused the biggest upset at this year's Australian Open when the 29th seed rallied to overcome an injury-hampered Serena Williams in the quarterfinals on Wednesday. Stephens prevailed to set up a semifinal against world number 1 Victoria Azarenka. The match was billed as a showdown pitting the future of American tennis against the most accomplished player of the present generation, and the early signs indicated that Williams possessed too much power for her younger opponent. Stephens held and sealed a shock victory to set up a semifinal against defending champion Azarenka after the Belarusian had beaten Svetlana Kuznetsova in the early match on Rod Laver Arena. We have more news coming after a short break. Please stay with us.